Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at the Magicka Sorcerer PV build for Dragon Bones DLC. This is a pet build, however I also do have a non-pet build. I will put the link into the description, and I also do have a written guide on my website. I will also put the link in the description so you can go check it out if you want to. When we look at our stats, they're pretty neat. As you can see, we have a lot of max Magicka, health, that's basically the two most important things, and also spell damage is quite high, and it will even go higher once like our spell damage enchant will proc. We're using the Apprentice Mundus Stone to increase our spell damage. Keep in mind, you need to know how much spell penetration you or your group has, so sometimes it might be better to swap to the Lover to get more spell penetration. In terms of buff food, we are using the normal max health, max Magicka buff food, because we can sustain quite easily with this setup. In terms of potions, use spell power pots. You could run, like, you don't necessarily need Major Prophecy because we run Inner Light, but those are just the easiest to get on the, like, in the guild stores. In terms of race, I recommend being a high elf because we get 4% more shock damage and 10% more max Magicka. Those are the two most important. However, like a dark elf or a Breton also works. In terms of vampire, you don't necessarily need it. Sometimes it can be nice to get the damage mitigation. The recovery here is not that important because we have a heavy attack rotation. We kinda have infinite sustain. Now in terms of gear, please make sure, do not forget to subscribe. I will release more videos in the future. Now, I also do have different gear setups on my website with some like prototypes and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to go for max Magicka, you want to have Necropotence on this pet build. So what we're doing is 5 Necro, and then you can choose between 2 Elambris or 2 Zaan. I will quickly explain like why this can be a good set or also not, but let's just first do the Necro stuff. So this here is good because you see you get 3150 max Magicka. Try to have the full body pieces, because then you can gold out everything and you will gain from more max Magicka. Will be worth it, trust me. All divine traits on all the armor with Magicka enchants. Now Zaan, that's a new set, it drops in Scalecaller Peak. The first bonus is a spell crit, so it's actually quite nice. Then when you deal damage, when you damage a nearby enemy with a light or heavy attack, you have a 20% chance to create a beam of fire that will connect you to your enemy. The beam deals 5k flame damage every 1 second for 5 seconds. Now every second the damage gets increased by 50%, so it will hit really hard. It has an 18-second cooldown though, and it only works if you are 10 meters or closer to your target. So when we compare Zaan to Elambris, like the downsides or like positive negative, Zaan has higher single target damage. It's basically a single target set. The beam will only connect to one person or like one mob at a time, and that's it. But it will deal a lot more damage than, for example, Elambris. So the thing is, you do more damage single target, but it's only single target and you need to be in melee range. Elambris deals less damage single target, but more damage in AoE, and you can be ranged. Now most Magicka Sorcerers are ranged setups, so that's why I usually say use Elambris, but just keep in mind, the moment you can go melee, or for example in dungeons, go Zaan. It will do more single target damage, and bosses will die a lot faster. The last piece is Moondancer. We use 3 pieces here with lightning Moondancer stuff on the front bar. Make sure to have a shock enchantment with infused trait. Now we run 2 shock staves. So why shock staves? When we go to the destruction stuff passives, ancient knowledge, lightning stuff increases your damage done with AoE abilities by 8%. And most of our abilities are AoE. We have basically the curse here, blockade, liquid lightning, the pet, and the Desert ulti. That are all AoE. So that's why you want to have double shock stuff. You kinda can choose between shock and fire, but I still recommend going for shock. It will increase the concussion uptime on bosses, and therefore once bosses are concussed, get 8% more damage, so the whole group will do more damage. Make sure that weapon is also infused. Then the back bar, Maelstrom lightning staff with a weapon damage enchantment and Nern Honed. Now if you don't have a Maelstrom lightning staff, you could run a second Moondancer staff or just a random staff. But I really do recommend getting a Maelstrom weapon because your heavy attacks will deal a lot more damage, trust me. In terms of champion points, 48 Thaumaturge. This is still quite important. Now we do have a lot of damage over time effects, so it's worth putting 81 points in here. Plus we also gain 10% more damage on off-balanced enemies. Most builds don't use that anymore because off-balance got kinda reduced on bosses, but on this setup we need a lot of points in Thaumaturge anyway, so it's definitely worth going for it. 18, 19, then a 33 here, 49 and 40. In the green we have 30, 30, 76 and 56. You really want to make sure you have 76 here because we restore a lot of our resources through heavy attacks. 48 Warlord. Then I have 56 into Bastion. The reason is because our shield is quite big when we look at it, like 28k. So while we have this shield up, we are definitely not going to die. 49, 49, 40, 2 and 44. Basically the setup, you can also find it on my website if you want to read through it again. Now I will quickly go through some good passives that the Sorks actually have. Unholy Knowledge, we get magic and stamina cost reduction for abilities, really nice. Then this might be good in some situations, but as you can see, we don't necessarily use any of those skills here. If you're only Sork in your group, you actually could slot one of those, for example like Mines instead of Inner Light, just so you can keep this passive going to get extra spell crit. But in my opinion, it's not worth it. It's definitely better to have Inner Light just to have more max Magicka. Here we have like Power Stone, a lot of ultimate cost reduction. That's so much. Usually this ultimate here costs 250. But with this Power Stone passive, it only costs 213. You also get 8% more max health while we have a pet active. That's why our health is so high, 18.4k. Then we have 5% more shock damage, that's why it's still nice running like just 2 shock staves. Implosion can proc, like auto execute. And here more spell damage, which is also nice. Other than that, make sure to have all destruction stuff, passives, light armor and heavy. You want to have the first 3. Mostly this year because it gives you a little bit more health. If you would like I said, you can be a vampire, but don't really need to. Then fighter skill, make sure you have Banish the Wicked, just to get more ultimate regeneration when you kill undead or Daedra. Mage skill, make sure you have everything, and Undaunted. Racial passives are important, and alchemy use, you want to have alchemy, you want to have medicinal use. So your potions last longer, it's very important. You really need to level this up. In terms of gear, in terms of skills, on our front bar we have Hardened Wars, like I already said. You see it absorbs 22k plus 33, that's why our shield is so big. It's insane how much we get. Then Daedric Prey. This basically buffs our... It does a lot of damage first. And you see, while the curse is active, your pets deal an additional 55% damage to the target. And the Storm Outthrow deals 40%. So your pet's damage just get increased so much. Inner Light just to increase our max Magicka. Then I have the Volatile Familiar here. It's a really strong AoE damage, like pulse. Damage pulse. Deals a lot of damage. Then I have Bound Aegis. Now this gives us 8% more max Magicka. Also very good. But keep in mind, those two have to be double slotted. Very important. Then we have the Thunderous Rage ultimate here. This needs to be on the front bar. Because of Ancient Knowledge. This passive, the 8% extra damage, is only active when you have a Destruction Stuff ability or ultimate slotted. So you need to have this here. This is the strongest ultimate in terms of AoE damage. And on the back bar we use the Storm Atronach. Now single target wise the Storm Atronach is better if he can attack the enemy for the full duration. And it actually hits him. Plus you have Charged Lightning synergy, increasing the Atros and the player that used the synergy damage by 25% for 8 seconds because they get Major Berserk. It's really strong. Same skills here again. Liquid Lightning, a really strong dot attached with another synergy. Needs to be on the ground all the time. It's very powerful. Blockade of Storms, another really strong AoE damage or time effect. Needs to be on the back bar because if you run the Maelstrom stuff there, in case you have any. Also deals a lot of damage. Also keep in mind, all your shock abilities that you have can apply concussion to the targets. When an enemy is concussed, he will receive 8% more damage. And if he is concussed and your blockade of shock is on the ground, he will get off balanced. When an enemy is off balanced, he receives 10% more damage. If you have 10 enough points here for Exploiter perk. But again, on bosses, off balance uptime is not that high, but on trash it can be very helpful. If you knock down, for example, a trash shot, then off balance will go away, but you will restore twice the resource. So if you do a heavy attack on an off balance mob, you will get twice the resources back and he will get knocked down. This is the trick behind. But yeah, we have no sustain issues anyway. Now, what about the second pet? So basically, Twilight Tormentor, you also can use this. Most people only run one pet though, like the small one, because it's just really hard to manage 2 pets. And when they die too much, you will be mostly recasting them and you cannot really focus on the combat anymore. So that's why I usually suggest only running the Volatile Familiar. But for those that won't, you can go with the Tormentor. If they both survive, they will actually do a little bit, you will do a little bit more damage. You can find the rotation on my website. I do have a rotation when you chose to run only one pet or when you want to run both pets. I will definitely upload like dungeon runs and other stuff with this build on my YouTube channel. So again, make sure not forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.